Hotel Staffing and HR, in conjunction with PatriotTV.live, bring you Play Harder Radio, the premier patriotic sports and BS talk show from America's Gulf Coast. Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. Where the F-bomb is allowed, but frowned upon. This is Play Harder Radio. And now, your host, James Grant.
Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like that a lot.
That a lot of people don't care about your opinion?
Yeah, they don't care about my opinion.
You know, maybe one of these days you'll be more important than you think you are.
Jeez, I doubt that. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Okay. I was going a little far with that.
I appreciate you giving me the benefit of the doubt on on the ego, keeping the ego in check, but I don't know.
Okay.
Although Fallen Oak, I played golf at Fallen Oak today.
Is that my cue?
Over in Mississippi. You can get it ready.
Which one am I putting up?
You can put up the picture through the window.
Okay.
But Fallen Oak put my ego in check today.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's a nice view. It was a beautiful weather today.
Yeah, that was the breakfast view from the bar.
Okay.
So it's most golfers. Have you ever heard of Shadow Creek?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Out in Vegas?
Oh yeah.
It's part of the MGM family.
Okay.
And so is Fallen Oak here, and they compare it to Shadow Creek. Fallen Oak to Shadow Creek. They're both Tom Fazio designs. They don't have those beautiful desert mountains behind them, but it was a beautiful course. But
okay, I'm going to the next shot here.
And then so that's the shot from the tee box back to the clubhouse.
Pretty.
That's the hole from both ends.
Okay.
We'll play the video at the end, or in a minute here. But yeah, it kept me in check, or put my ego in check. But everything was first rate. From valeting right there where you drop your clubs off, valeting your vehicle right where you drop the clubs off, to Meredith serving us breakfast. And the food it's the best breakfast burrito I ever had.
Nice.
Outstanding. Nice. It was delicious. Outstanding. And speaking of meals, though, well, I'll talk about that later. I had dinner at a steakhouse at the Beau Rivage, which is the MGM resort there in Biloxi, Mississippi, last night, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, it was a great course. I mean, just in pristine condition, from the range to the carts to the tee boxes, everything.
Do you want to show this video?
Yeah, let's show it a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's about a 1-minute video.
Let's just see here.
Give him a little.
Designed by legendary course architect Tom Fazio, exclusively for guests of Beau Rivage Resort and Casino, Fallen Oak raises the bar for luxury resort golf in the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
I got something to say.
The 18-hole par 72 championship layout unfolds in a majestic, almost cinematic invitation to all who love the game. It's a challenge few can or should resist. This is 510 acres of pure heaven, or hell, depending on how your scorecard looks that day. Be among the first to test its hype. Visit fallenoak.com.
Be among the first to test its hype. I don't know if I like his voiceover.
You know, I think he did the voiceover I did some work for French Lick Casino in Indiana, and I think he did some voiceover work for them because his voice sounds very familiar.
Does anything come to mind for anybody when we hear French Lick?
Well, of course.
What?
Basketball.
And
Irish people tall.
Lawrence Bird.
Yeah, there we go.
Larry Bird. Thank you for, you know what? At least
I knew that.
At least your non-sports ass
That's right.
got basketball. I'm impressed.
He is, very popular there. So there's a cute little
Well,
town.
yeah, it's his hometown.
Yeah. It's a great place to visit.
French Lick?
Yeah, it's a casino, and there's a couple of award-winning golf courses there, and there's the most beautiful hotel that you will probably ever be able to stay in is there, and a resort and everything.
Really?
I'll send you pictures.
That sounds cool.
Very nice. It used to be, before they built the Houston Astrodome, the largest freestanding dome in the world.
Very cool.
There. So, that's – I did a shoot with the BBC there one time. So
with the BBC, you're kind of well-traveled in the industry.
Yeah.
In the AV industry.
A lot of good that
audiovisual.
A lot of good that'll do you. But, yeah.
What?
As far as, that'll get you what is it they say as far as
what is that?
There's some cliche thing that they say. That they say. I don't say it, so I don't know.
That and $2 will get you a cup of soup or something soup cup of whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
How you weren't feeling good earlier in the week. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling better. I'm still not at my best, but how can,
Are you worried that maybe you could be infecting me with the China virus?
No, I don't think so.
Is that because you don't give a shit about the China virus, or me,
or you? I think,
or people in general.
I've had colds all my life. So,
yeah.
So the fact that
you don't go
every time you get a little sniffle, for people to freak out and think that you have the China virus is just silly.
It's a well-known fact that I'm immortal, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Well, Frank, our soon-to-be guest
Frank
for today's
Besednjak?
show, is actually asking to be admitted. I can do that, and we can
let him in, and
off.
I'll do a couple of things here.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I don't know if he's listening, other than
make sure he's got his mic on and his video and.
Mike.
He can.
His mic is muted right now.
So, T-shirts, Play Harder Radio T-shirts are going to be really cool, badass T-shirts.
Okay.
We've showed those before. You can pop them up there if you want or not.
I can.
But I think you're going to put a link in the comments to where people are going to be able to start getting them.
I'm going to put that in the Facebook. Yes.
Yeah, in the Facebook link.
Facebooks.
Last week we got knocked off. We got for copyright infringement, I guess, because we used the Aaron Lewis song at the very end.
Okay, I'm going to now.
Which I don't think he would mind that we used it. Am I the only one?
Are you the only one that would mind, or are you the only one is the name of the song? What are
you played it
here? That was a week ago. I've gone through hell in the last week.
Oh, hell. You've gone through hell.
I'm just kidding.
I bet it was horrible. It was just that bad of a week.
So the shirts
it up, Buttercup.
are up where people can see it. I'm going to try and zoom in here so that we can see them a little better.
The original pics we had? Oh, that's the link.
No, this is the link.
Yeah, that's the link.
Yes, so that people can.
You can go up. You can go on there and order the T-shirts onesie twosie.
And this is on Shopify.
And I haven't.
Shopify.com.
That's the Play Harder Radio page on Shopify, and I have not yet. As of yet, I didn't get a chance to look at it real quick. Beardo had tweeted it out, and I hadn't gotten on my Twitter in a little bit since I was rushing back from Mississippi to get with you today, or to meet you here and do this tonight.
And everybody appreciates you doing that for us.
Don't be a smartass.
Okay.
You don't make the jokes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
We have this conversation just about every week.
I know. I need to pay more attention. Wait a second. I'm trying.
You're going to put me to sleep with your right now the way you're talking. You know what? We're working on a UFO show.
That would be awesome.
We know somebody who I don't want to say claims because you know him personally.
Yeah, yeah.
And you think you believe him?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and I know a guy who saw a UFO in Panama City Beach when he was in 10th grade.
Okay, okay.
And I would say he's in his close to 40, maybe. He's in the Navy now. I don't know. Jack will probably get mad at me. Jack, don't get mad at me. Maybe he's only 32. I don't know. Anyway, he and his girlfriend saw it, and we're going to try and get her on the show too for a future show. And the thing, I know Jack, and I believe him 100%. And the cool thing about it, I think, it really intrigues me and he's really excited about coming on and doing this. But his dad saw it the next morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, how's it going? I haven't brought you on yet, but you look great.
Thanks.
Frank, how are you?
Wonderful.
Good to talk to you again.
You too. It's a pleasure to be here. I heard a little bit of the conversation about UFOs. I want to know when that program's coming on. I want to be there. I want to listen to that. I want to see that.
Yeah, I'm this guy. So where I work out, it's a CrossFit, and you have it's class type setting. So it's like group training. You get a coach for the class, and at the beginning of every class at Revolt Fitness where I go, we have a little question of the day, and one of the things was the question that day, and introduce ourselves so you get to know each other. It's a pretty good family. It's a great family there. And so the question of the day was, what's the most amazing thing you've ever seen or sight or whatever? And I'm like, I saw the Tetons one morning, and they were going up in Wyoming when we were on vacation. They were sticking up out of the clouds. It was really cool, super cool. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. The next guy was Jack Lott, who's in the Navy. And he goes, I saw a UFO. I mean, so matter of fact, I'm like, really? I was ready to stop working out and just talk to him about it. But anyway, we're going to get him on, and maybe an abducted person as well.
That would be great.
So this is Frank Besednjak. Did I get that right?
Yes, actually, very few people get it right. Good job.
Thank you.
Must have been trained properly by Todd.
Yeah, we've been practicing
All right.
it for a while.
So
now.
Frank, we do not give Todd credit for anything.
That's all right.
He's the producer, and so he just does what he's told. And then he takes it out on me when I'll call him later in the week or something. He's fed up with me and takes it out on me on the phone, not on the air. So, but yes, he put me through the training earlier before the show. What do you? Frank is a business coach, consultant. Been in the Navy. Is a refugee from Salerno, Italy, at 10 months old.
Yes, I'm a displaced person, I guess is what they called us at the time. I was born in a refugee camp in Salerno, and my parents had lived there for about 7 years. Well, after World War II, what happened, they left Yugoslavia, went to Italy, and basically were wanting to come to the United States or Australia or somewhere else, preferably the U.S. And they had to wait 7 years in order to get a visa and permission to come to the United States. And that's where I was born, in this refugee camp.
Wow. We're going to get in. I have so many questions now just about that. But I want to back up where we are at UFOs. What's your gut feel on the UFO situation, on UFOs?
There's so many planets and solar systems out there. Why couldn't that be? I mean, it would make more sense if someone, if someone's trying to debate whether or not there's other life and other planets, it's crazy. I mean, of course there is. And why couldn't there be someone much more intelligent and advanced than us? I mean, it just makes sense.
It does in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you what, the people like the guy I was just talking about, Jack Lott, I believe him 100%. I don't believe that he thinks he saw one, and this was not like an unidentified flying object. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he saw something that he couldn't identify. He's like, this was alien craft. It was enormous, and when it took off, when it disappeared away, it was like, hyperspace, Star Wars hyperspace, or warp speed from Star Trek. Just bam, instant out of there.
And you said he was a pilot, so he was familiar with...
He is I believe he's a helicopter. I'm not positive. He's a helicopter pilot. We had Colonel Holsworth on 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
2 weeks ago. He was trained by Colonel Holsworth.
Okay.
So he knows Caveman very well. And he goes, I hope you get to hang out with him outside of like the podcast and stuff, because he is one cool cat, a hilarious dude. Which we do. So, but yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I can't see why there wouldn't. It just, it's just a matter. They don't want to be bothered by our nonsense and stupidity compared to who they are. They just want to look at us, and who knows? There may be a big chess game out there, between different aliens. I don't know. I mean, you can assume anything.
Do you are you familiar with the documentary Above Majestic?
No.
Is anybody out there that might be listening familiar with Above Majestic? If anybody wants to just certify completely, maybe that I'm off my rocker a little bit, watch that, because
I watched it one time. So
yeah. And so, what did you think?
I kind of was. I was okay with it until it got to a certain point, and it was like, because I'm all about the politics and what the government's doing and the craziness that they're trying to manipulate us and everything. But then it went down this whole path of like, whoa, that's a little more than what I'm
like the kids from the schools and stuff.
Well,
the MK. What about the MK Ultra program?
Yeah,
early CIA.
Yeah, just a lot of that different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out, Frank. It's pretty crazy.
I wrote it down. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, you'll be going, I'm never talking to that dude again. He is batshit crazy.
So Frank, I've got I'm gonna promote your website here a little bit. I've got just I'm gonna bring that up with showing, if you want to tell us what it's called.
Talk a little bit about what you do for a living now, and then we'll go back to kind of the refugee camp. I've already got questions about that. And and how your family came here, but tell us what you do now.
I'm a business coach, been doing it 27 years. Basically, I help companies primarily in the skilled trades industries like plumbers, heating and air guys, people like that. I do a lot of on-site training with them and their employees. I do a lot of workshops for businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, so I partner with companies who provide services for these businesses, or I'll start a business with other people that will provide services for them. If someone's not doing something and I think it's something that my customer base needs, well, I'll figure out a way to make it happen and get some people together to do it. But primarily, I go into companies and straighten them out, figure out what their issues are and get them back operating properly, or get them to the point where they're doing well or really well compared to how they used to be. And I do that by watching. I usually go into a company, spend a couple of days there, figure out what they're doing, and then I implement, I give them a list of recommendations and findings, things that I find wrong. And then, of course, I help them implement if they're willing to change, which seems to be a major battle all the time. Oh, we can't do that. We're too busy. And, but you're losing 10 grand a week, that's okay. Right. It's those kind of things, and I love it. I like to help people. I'm usually coaching at least one or two people for free. All the time, simply because I like to help people, and I see, okay, this is a case that just needs my help, and I know they can't afford it, but I'm going to get this thing working. And they tell me, well, what can I pay you? What can I do for you? And I'll say, whatever you think it's worth. Once you're successful, you can write me a big fat check or buy me a really nice expensive dinner, whatever you think it was worth. And it works out for me. Then they recommend me, and it just continues. And I love it. I mean, I love what I do. There's nothing else I would rather be doing. Plus, I speak at a lot of events, which I really enjoy. You know, I like doing that. That's fun.
You're 65 years old, right? We talked about that today.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And so you, and if, from what I hear from talking to you earlier today, and from listening to you talk about the way you like to help people and stuff, and enjoying what you do, you're not in any frame of mind right now to be done doing that anytime soon.
No, why? I mean,
right.
Here's what I tell people. People say, Frank, when are you going to retire? And I usually say, well, when I show up with no pants on, it's probably time to stay home. You know, I mean, and that's how I look at it. When I'm ready to stay home because I have no clue what I'm doing or where I'm at, then it's probably a time. You know, it's like I'm having fun. I don't want to stop having fun.
Speaking of that, showing up without your pants on, I went to Biloxi, Mississippi last night, and we get there, and a friend of mine was with me, and he's pulling his shoes out of the out of his bag, and he brought two left foot shoes. So it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe he's getting close to being done.
Could be. You never know.
You know, and he's younger than me too.
Sign.
So it's scary. And we had speaking of a nice dinner, I had something. We ate at a steakhouse at the Beau Rivage Hotel. The steakhouse.
Oh, I love that place. I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, right?
Love it. Beautiful.
I got a wedge salad. They peeled the cherry tomatoes.
Wow.
They were awesome. I'm like, oh, this is how, you know, that commercial. So this is the dining room. That's I felt like I was somebody special with peeled cherry tomatoes.
Oh yeah. The food is incredible. They have the best buffet anywhere. If you want a breakfast buffet, that's the place to get breakfast.
I'll have to remember that. Awesome. What do you, so with these, you do the service industry, right? You work with the service industry.
Right. Service industry and a couple nightclubs and bars here and there.
So there's a lot of people out there that can that have the opportunity to make a very good living without going to college. Would you agree with that?
You know, I've even told my grandkids, if you want to make a good living, learn a skill. I've always told my kids when they were little that it's important to be the most valuable person in the room, not the most educated, the most valuable. And the only way you can increase your own personal value is by knowing more and being able to do more than anyone else. There's nothing wrong with working with your hands. I mean, that's how I got started. I didn't graduate college till I was 40 because GE told me. I used to work for GE. GE told me I had to go to school.
Huh.
And
that's the way a lot of the big corporations are still today. If you don't have a degree, they're not interested. Well,
they're kind of sliding back on that a little bit because they're realizing they can't get good talent because college. A lot of kids are coming out of college with a similar, they all have the same kind of skills, and they don't understand I did a whole 2-hour speech on this. They don't understand the work ethic because no one has actually made them do anything. They think they should show up and be, paid accordingly for being there.
Right.
And when they have to do something, it's like, well, I should get it. And I'm not slamming younger people. It's not their fault. It's the fault of their parents and people like my age and slightly younger than that set up this whole disaster of people who don't know how to work or don't know what going to work is really all about.
A lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
You like to make a lot of analogies with when you're coaching to baseball.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. I love baseball. So I think about baseball a lot when I'm thinking about leading or coaching in a business.
I have the ultimate. I got the ultimate invite a couple weeks ago to go to the College World Series next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Have you ever been?
Not to the College World Series, no.
I hear it's just amazing. Anybody that's been there is just blown away by by it. How much fun it is, and can't get enough of it.
I just have to say, 2 weeks ago, my granddaughter, Molly, who's 14, her and her team, I went down to watch them play in the national championship series in Alabama, southern Alabama. And
down around Mobile?
Yeah, well, it was in Gulf Breeze. Where is it? Gulf. It's right on the Gulf.
Pictures you had posted on it.
Gulf Shores.
Well, anyway,
Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Gulf Shores, yes.
Yeah.
There was thousands of kids there, and they won everything.
Wow.
They won everything. They went undefeated. It was incredible. I mean, it was one of the happiest moments of my life. You know, I'd rather watch girls softball or Little League baseball 100 times more than I would watch MLB. I love MLB. I love baseball.
Right.
But, you know, watching your grandkid go in there and play and do well on their team, and I've been supporting them all this year, and they did great, and I was thrilled. I love it.
Yeah, undefeated and national champs. So I guess that's probably 14 and under national champs.
Yep, national champs.
That's cool.
It was incredible, yeah.
Very cool. When you guys came to America, where did you live? Where did you land? Where did you?
I was 11 months old, and my parents flew here. I guess they stopped a couple places. I don't know. So I don't remember because I was 11 months old. And first place we stopped in Washington, D.C. And I'm just going by what the stories my parents told me.
Right.
And they had to transfer to another plane because we were going to Cleveland, Ohio, because we had a sponsor who was going to give my dad a job. And that's the only way you could get over here is by a guaranteed you're going to have a job. And that's why you'd get a visa, which was a work visa. And the first stop in Washington, D.C., some guy stole my parents everything they owned, all their luggage. So welcome to America. We're stealing everything you have. And then they went to Cleveland, Ohio with absolutely nothing. All they had was what they were wearing. And we lived behind a moving and storage company that had been closed. We lived in their office. It was just an office, which was like 18 by 20. And off of it, there was a sink in the toilet. And there was a little tiny refrigerator and a plug-in little stove. And that was it. And it was my parents, my brother and I, another couple, and their 2 children.
And do you remember
we slept
any
there
of
on
that?
the blankets on the floor. And that's where I grew up for a couple of years.
Wow.
Do you recall any of that personally, Frank, or is it just stories?
A little bit. I remember a few things, not much. Because it wasn't like any great thing that I can remember. I do remember moving to an apartment and having other rooms. And I thought, wow, we're like rich people now. We have more than one room and we don't have to share, all these rooms. And I thought that was such a huge deal. And then there's a bathtub and a shower, something that I never experienced. We just washed with a washcloth in the sink. And and then I remember I was probably 6 or 7, and we got a TV, a black and white TV. And I remember going to school, telling my friends at school, like, we got a TV. And they're like, yeah, so? And I said, yeah, but it's a TV. And to them, it was like, who cares? I mean, everybody has a TV. Yeah, but, it was an incredible thing to me, at the time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that you came here in 1956.
Correct.
Did you, so the refugee, I guess you ended up in Salerno after, you said you ended up in Salerno from Yugoslavia, your parents were there from Yugoslavia after World War II.
Right.
And because of the destruction in Yugoslavia from the war?
Yes. And those turning communists, so they wanted to get out of there.
Right. And how did they end up, how were they able to get out? Was it just timing was right to get out before it completely turned?
They just lived just over the border. So the border was like their backyard, and they just went, and then eventually, I really don't remember what my parents told me, but someone told them they had to go to a certain place and turn themselves in. And they did. And then they sent them to Salerno, to a camp called Cava di Tirani. And that's where they lived.
What would your parents think about what's going on now in America?
Same thing I think. These people want to go back in time. There's no other place in the world that's as good as this. There's nowhere else. And yet people want to change it. Like, do we want to go back in time? I mean, all these people from everywhere are trying to come here. Hey, there's a reason for that. You know, they say, oh, let these refugees in. That's great, but there's a reason they're coming here. It's because everywhere else pretty much sucks. Even in Europe, you know, people try to say we should be more like Europe. Okay, nobody has houses like we have in Europe. Nobody has the amount of success and availability to things like we have. No one. There's nowhere else.
Nobody can piss money away like we can.
Right. We blow money on the stupidest things. We throw away more than most people buy in the world. And then we're bitching about it like we want it different. Okay, how much different do you want? I mean, you know, I just want to sit on my ass and make money and have everything I need. Okay, well, that isn't realistic, unfortunately. It is becoming realistic more and more today, but that's not the real world. My dad taught me how to work. And I mean, we did everything. My dad wasn't skilled at any particular thing. So he did everything, anything he could do to make money, to make a living. And he dragged my brother and I along, you know, as his personal slaves to work, and we did whatever, you know. So I learned a lot of stuff as a kid simply because my dad did a lot of stuff.
And that was just the way it was, right? It wasn't, and you don't have any animosity about that, or when I was growing up, my parents did this, or...
Oh, I learned a lot.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate everything my parents did. They did the best they could.
Right. You knew they loved you. And
yeah, they never learned how to read.
Wow.
I mean, they never learned how to read. And they took care of us. We did well. I mean, we came here with nothing. And hell, I have a giant house now. I can buy whatever I want. Life is good. If it wasn't for them bringing me here, that opportunity would have never existed.
Yeah, and what you've done for your kids and grandkids and everything else, I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, and both of my kids are incredibly successful, doing well.
You know, one of the things I want you to talk about too, Frank, is Rocky's charity. You don't have to right now, but before you're done, you know.
Okay, I sure will. Yeah.
Cool. So you said you don't remember a lot of. They didn't talk much about the war?
I've heard. I mean, the one thing I remember a lot is they had no food. Like they would eat potatoes all the time. And that was, you know, and they would make food out of whatever they had. And my parents had told me about the Germans coming in and taking everything they had and killing some of the people who wouldn't cooperate. I mean, right there in front of everybody, little kids, everything, they didn't care. And then the Russians came in for a while. Then they left. And then the United States soldiers came in. And they were the first ones that actually gave them something, whereas everybody else was taking everything away. And so they appreciated the United States from that point forward because they weren't there to take. They were there to make things better.
That's I am just fascinated. I mean, it's just you could sit and if you get a chance to talk to any of those people who've lived through that and ever get to listen to their stories and everything, I think you can just do that all day long, and it gives you a real appreciation for what we have now compared to what they had to go through to just to survive.
Just to wake up the next day, you know. And we have people whining because they can't get a good iPhone or something,
Right.
People bitching because they're in an airplane that's delayed for 10 minutes and they're losing their mind. Think about it. We're in a thing that's going to fly in the freaking sky and land somewhere else in a matter of minutes, and we're bitching, we have everything we want, and you don't even have to work, and you have everything you need.
Yeah, we take a lot for granted, man. We take a lot for granted. Do you think the American dream is still alive?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I'm living it. I mean, my kids are going to live it. My grandkids are going to live it because they're dedicated, devoted, and they're driven.
A lot of people outside the United States obviously believe that it's still alive.
Right.
Because there's
it's a cult, not really a cult. It's a trend, I guess, that the United States is not great, that the United States is a horrible place. Yeah. I mean, I would just love to take these people on a tour of the world and just, hey, go live over in India for a while, or Pakistan, or, one of these countries where people are happy to have a shirt, and we're here. I mean, I looked in my closet the other day because I'm remodeling my house. And so I'm looking at my closet. I got so many damn clothes, and I've got clothes that I wore once, and I'm going to get rid of them because I just don't want them. And I'm thinking, man, there was a time I remember when I was a little kid, and my tennis shoes wouldn't fit anymore. And my mom, and I told her my feet hurt because I had gone through this growth spurt, and my feet were hurting. And I said, my feet hurt. And she said, well, I'll fix it, And I said, can I just get new shoes? She says, no, you have to wait another month and a half, when school starts, so we'll have the money then. And I said, okay. So I wake up in the morning. She had cut the toes out of my tennis shoes, and they were the red ball tennis shoes.
Right.
And so there was an opening, and she said, now your toes won't hurt. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my friends are going to laugh at me for wearing these tennis shoes with my toes sticking out of the end. So I got some duct tape and I wrapped it around the edge, where my toes were, to try to make it look like that was the front of it, so it would look obvious. And so I put that on, and my friend just said, hey, what'd you do with your tennis shoes? And I didn't want to say that my toes hurt and my parents didn't have any money to buy me shoes. So I just said, I thought it looked cool. So I wrapped this duct tape around there. He says, man, that really does look cool. I want to do mine too. I said, well, that worked out. I didn't get embarrassed.
A trendsetter.
Because my toes were hurting. We didn't have anything. I remember getting used toys for Christmas, but I was okay. I was happy. We just didn't have stuff that other people had. It was okay. I didn't whine about it. I didn't want to bring attention to it.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. People don't have a clue. It took them. They lived in that refugee camp for 7 years.
7 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm guessing that refugee camp, that was tents, basically, cots. If they had cots.
No, they had these. They were like Quonset huts, like they're rounded top.
Yep.
And like old military style huts, and right. That's where they lived. My dad worked in the kitchen. He was a cook, and my mom was one of the people who cleaned. She cleaned the camp director's living quarters. And she worked in there in the kitchen, and so everybody had a job, and they got along, I guess. I mean, there wasn't a bunch of issues. And of course, the place, you couldn't leave. The place was surrounded. It had guards and barbed wire. They couldn't leave until they were allowed to go to another country. So imagine 7 years in the compound without ever going out anywhere.
And we act like these people down on the border that are there for a few months like it's a terrible hassle for them.
Yeah. For a
And-
couple
I mean,
months.
that's their choice. I mean, and my parents' choice was to go there. No matter how long it took, they wanted to go to a country like the United States, maybe Australia or something like that. I have a lot of relatives who went to Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela. Speaking of Venezuela, I have relatives there. I haven't heard from them in 2 years. I don't know where they're at. We used to communicate via the
really?
internet, and I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no clue what's going on.
Things
with
have
them.
changed there.
Well, because they wanted a
Yeah.
socialist government.
So do we,
Which
though,
is-
Frank.
Little dose of reality. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They can't. They don't even have an internet. I remember my one of my like second or third cousins was telling me how horrible things were getting a couple of years ago, and that the only way he can really make anything extra is by bartering for fixing people's cars or bicycles, and he couldn't, because you're only allotted a certain amount of food, like one loaf of bread and half a dozen eggs, or
Right.
and that's it. And
Rations,
their
yeah.
family was starving, so they had to barter with people who had extra stuff because they bartered, and that's the only way anybody could. In other words, they had a small degree of capitalism running underground, so they can get the things they needed.
Yeah, black market.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go figure. The dreaded capitalism
yeah,
rears its ugly head for survival.
exactly. Yeah, that's how it works.
When did you when did you find baseball? Fall in love with baseball?
When I was in Cleveland, and we used to go sit in the bleachers for 75 cents a seat.
The Indians.
Yeah.
Indians.
They're going to be called the Guardians now because the Indians is offensive.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna keep calling them the Indians.
Yeah, they're the Indians to me.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, you just missed. You were just at the end. I think Bob Feller's last year was 56, so you kind of missed Bob Feller. But
Yeah,
it
I
must.
did. I
It
missed
must.
that.
Those days, the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. It must have been awesome.
I remember Mickey Mantle and the Yankees were there, and the Indians were playing them, and somebody, one of the pitchers threw the ball at Mickey Mantle's head. I don't remember who it was. And then I remember all the benches emptied, and there's a big fight. And I still remember that. I don't know if I was like 7 or 6 or something like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, and then people were throwing stuff into the field, typical Cleveland fans. And and it was great. And I remember that. I remember sitting in the bleachers, getting a sunburn. It was great. I loved going to games.
You followed him through the years.
Oh yeah, still.
Do you remember Joe Charbonneau?
Yes. He screwed things up, didn't he?
Yeah, he was Rookie of the Year in 1980, I believe, and I saw the Yankees play in Cleveland. Guidry, remember Ron Guidry?
Yes.
And Reggie Jackson hit a double off the wall. So I saw some of the big Yankees play Cleveland and Super Joe Charbonneau in 1980, and
he didn't last long.
Yep.
I'm not going to get into it. Some crazy stuff that he did that I heard and from firsthand, but he was the problem. He's kind of like the Cleveland Browns when they brought in Johnny Football.
Yeah.
From
Manziel.
Texas.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
Manziel, yes.
Right.
He was like that.
Yeah, he was a nut job for sure.
Yeah.
It was a crazy year though. Summer though, that year he was Rookie of the Year. It was that was basically that was basically his career, was that rookie year.
That's it. He ended it himself.
Did you play baseball?
I played Little League baseball, and then when I went in the Navy, I played actually a softball fast pitch. I played for my ship.
The USS Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima, yes.
Awesome. How was that? How'd you enjoy those 4 years? What made you go in?
I grew up on the east side of Cleveland, which isn't a great area, and my friends weren't like the best people you want to hang out with. And one of my friends, who was actually my older brother's friend, he and I hung out a lot. He was 3 years older than me, and he joined the Navy, and I was still in high school. And then he came back from the Navy and told me all about it. And I thought, okay, I can stay here and maybe join the Hells Angels to belong to something, because their Ohio headquarters was down the street, because everybody knew them. And
Right.
Or I can just get out of here like he did. And I thought, I'm going to get out of here, and I just need something different. So I joined the Navy.
So that must have been late 70s?
1973.
73.
When I went in the Navy. Yep.
That was a great decision.
So right out, oh yeah, right out of high school, right?
Yes, immediately. Yeah. Like 1 month later, I was in the service.
How'd you like it?
It was good. I had some good times. I learned a lot. I'm glad I went, but I had some bad things that happened to me, and I don't usually share that. And I never talked about it until 15 years ago when I went to therapy, because I have some PTSD. And basically what happened is I was doing drugs with a friend of mine, and he had just got back from asking his girlfriend to marry him, and she dumped him for his best friend. So he was totally depressed, and we were drinking and doing a bunch of stupid things. And he's just going on talking about it. He doesn't want to live anymore. And if he only had a gun, he'd be thrilled if he had a gun. And I go get my gun. I gave him a 45 and loaded it and gave it to him. He immediately puts it in his mouth and blows the top of his head off.
Wow.
Right next to me. And I've always felt for years, until I finally dealt with it myself 10 years ago or so, that I always thought I was the guy who killed him, and I couldn't get past that. And then I had another issue in the service when I was in there, so I had some real problems, and then I got addicted to heroin and all that. It was a big freaking mess, but thank God I got out of it, and I'm better.
Right.
And I hear people who tell me, oh, well, you don't know how hard it is. And they're telling me their story. And I'm thinking, and I don't try to compare who has the worst horror story.
Right.
When there's someone who has a problem. And I try to listen to them and engage and help them out, because I'm not here it's not a contest as to who had the most horrific thing happen. But I'll listen. I try to help people. But then I see people on TV being interviewed, and they're like, oh my God. And they're like, oh, that's so sad that happened to you. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, if you had like half of this shit happen to you that I had, you'd probably killed yourself. And here I'm doing well, and I have a great job, and I can help people. And I never got to a point where I gave up. I mean, you just don't give up. You just don't give in. You just keep moving in the direction, and you can't do anything about what happened yesterday or 10 seconds ago. It's
right.
done.
It's done.
Just keep on moving.
Yeah, look, there's no use in looking back.
You learn from it, and then you go on.
You learn from it, but you try not to be defined by all of it.
Where all did you go when you were on the ship? Did you get to see the world? Kind of travel?
Yeah, we went to North Africa, Israel, all the Mediterranean, and that's about it. And then Puerto Rico and Gitmo and all that stuff down there.
Oh, okay.
But the whole eastern United States. I've been in every state except for Rhode Island, Hawaii, and Alaska. And that's through the military and from work.
So you've been to Gitmo. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was just nothing but a base. There's nothing there. Almost got in trouble. A bunch of friends of mine, when we anchored off in Gitmo, they have a bar there, or you can buy beer. So, and then they have boats you can rent to go fishing. So we bought a bunch of booze, and we get on this little boat, and we're going to go fishing. And we just started cruising around, and we didn't realize that we had gone into
Cuban waters.
Cuban waters, the communist Cuban waters, and there's a patrol gunboat with these guys with machine guns from Cuba are like yelling at us, go back, go back. And this idiot who's with me takes a beer can and throws it at him. And I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to die right here. And, but I don't know why. I think that's a great memory. It's so funny. And they were nice enough to just escort us back because they knew we were drunk.
Yeah, you almost caused an international incident.
Yeah, this close.
No shots fired.
No shots were fired. Yes,
that's crazy. So the heroin addiction. My son is coming up in October. At the end of October, it'll be 6 years clean and sober.
Awesome.
And we
congratulations.
Thank you. It's he is doing he's amazing. He's doing amazing now and successful, very successful, and couldn't be prouder of him. How was how long did you have to deal with that?
Well, it was a 2-time deal, and they sent me to rehab in the Navy, and I was there 3.5 months, got out of it and stopped. And I stopped everything, drinking, everything. And then I started drinking again, and I was okay. And then, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I started having back problems. And then maybe 20 years ago, my memory is pretty shot. They started giving me pain pills. And next thing you know, within 7 years, I'm taking 15, 20 oxycodones a day. And that was 9 years ago, I think, 8 years ago. No, it was actually 7 years ago when I finally stopped. I wound up, I went to get to a place with Baptist East Hospital, which is here, where they have a recovery center. And I went there to get help, and they told me I had to stay there. And I said, I can't stay there. I'll kill myself if I stay in one place. I got to keep working. That's the only thing, because I was going through divorce. I just got to keep working. That's the only thing that keeps me going. And they said, no, you can't. You have to stay here. And I said, well, forget it then. I'm leaving. So then I went online and actually found people on YouTube who were going through withdrawal or had gone through withdrawal. And I contacted and connected with several people who helped me. And I set up a plan with my doctor to slowly back off on the painkillers for a 8-month period.
Wow.
And I did it in 7 months. And you think that once you get done, and they don't tell you this, and it happened when I was getting off the heroin, and it happened again when I was getting off the pills, that you have like a year and a half, 2 years afterwards where you're still messed up. You can't just stop. I know you can't just stop. I stopped gradually, but I was still messed up.
Right.
My brain still didn't know how to function. And I'm trying to date. And this is how stupid it was. I would go out on dates, and my short-term memory was shot. Everything wasn't working right. And this is just part of the withdrawal thing. And I'm asking, and next thing you know, they get up, go in the bathroom, and they never come back. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'm talking to my son about it. And he says, Dad, do you realize you're repeating yourself over and over again? I said, what are you talking about? He says, we just went through this whole thing, and now you're telling the whole same story again. I said, no, I'm not. He says, yeah, can you imagine? And I'm thinking, oh my God. So I'm here on a date and talking to a woman, and I'm probably asking her, so tell me about your work. And then she'd tell me, and then I'd say, so tell me about your work. Oh, I just told you. No, you didn't. Can you imagine someone sitting there talking to someone like me who just forgot what you just said, and they keep asking you the same question? I'd get up and go to the bathroom and not come back either. So then I realized I got to wait a while before I really interact with people, because my brain isn't working right. So it took almost a year for that, once I got off of it, for my brain to be normal again. So, but I kept working. I don't know how I did it. I still do public speaking events and somehow did great.
Wow.
Like I'm an autopilot. And then when I got done, I'd run back to my room because I couldn't interact with people because I'd sound like a moron, like an idiot, like I was crazy.
Yeah, you just do your program and then get out
Go
of there.
hide. Yeah.
Well, I've seen you do your deal, Frank, and you do a great job. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
That's a lot of adversity you've had to overcome, man.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and it gives you respect for what you have after you do everything you can to destroy your life, it seems like sometimes, and then you still come back a winner. That's more than a human being should be able to tolerate. But I keep on going, and I like to help people. Like I help a lot of people who just come up to me, and when I share my story, sometimes when I'm speaking, share part of my story, and people come up to me, yeah, I'm going through something like that now, and I help them, and I try to coach them and get them on the right track. And to me, that is such a huge victory, that I can share something and then someone's life got better as a result of that. That's what I look at my goal, my role in life, and my goal is to do nothing but maybe help a couple people. I may be talking to 500 people, and if one person's light turns on in their head, man, I've done it. That's all that matters.
You do motivational stuff, right?
Yeah.
How many different speeches do you have, or how many things do you talk about, or do you have or is it a one-time thing? Is it a couple-day thing? Is it an all-day thing? For what you do?
My speaking engagements are typically 1 hour to 3 hours. Then I do workshops that are all day long also. And sometimes I'll do workshops with other people. I'll team up with other people and put together an event, and we'd market it and then bring people in. They pay a fee to come in, and then I do my part and my partners do their part. It works out great. And I love it. I love the interaction of being able to make a difference.
What area of life do you speak about for them?
Mostly, recently I've been studying the mind, because in order for me to deal with my issues, I had to understand what was happening up here. And in order for me to understand, I had to read a lot of books about brain science and how your brain works and how it handles information, good, bad information, encounters, experiences, and things like that. And when I speak, one of the things I've been talking about recently is understanding what your brain is doing that keeps you from doing anything different. Like the biggest obstacle I face as a business coach is people reluctant to change, or they're afraid to do something they don't understand. And it's normal. That's an absolutely normal function. Your brain doesn't understand it, so it doesn't want to deal with it. So as a result, I talk to people about that, and it's normal. It's okay to not want to do something that you don't understand or are uncomfortable with. It's just it's a fear. And if your brain doesn't understand it, then it doesn't want to deal with it. And you're trying to force something into your head or into your routine that is abnormal. Because we as a society, especially today, we just do things on autopilot.
Right.
We don't even process information or dig into why this is happening. We just do our autopilot thing. People become so lazy that they don't even want to figure anything out. They just want, well, just tell me what it is, and let's just get this done. Well, let's look at the possibilities, and no one wants to do that anymore. They just do it. Just give me this. I want to get it over with. And it's really sad. And it's like your brain doesn't even use its ability to resolve problems, debate, to use the creativity part of the brain to be able to do anything. It doesn't happen anymore. So nobody does that. We just want to do what we normally do. Well, this is what I do.
Jim's a big believer on we don't use the power or the full potential of our brain.
Oh, it's so true. We don't. We just sit back and just do. Just like, here's how I describe it to people. When you're a baby, you learn how to walk. Okay. Imagine what that would feel like to not be able to walk automatically without thinking about it. As a baby, the baby has to feel every muscle and try to figure out what balancing is and all that. Today, as we get older, we just walk. We don't think about what foot do I have to put where. We just walk. And then over time, as we go through life, we're on autopilot on everything we do every day. And we never expand our knowledge and our brain or our creativity to go anywhere beyond that, because why? It's uncomfortable. It puts us in the zone of it's not something I understand, so I don't want to do it. It's sad.
It takes a subconscious effort, does it not?
Absolutely.
You have to change the programming.
Right.
And it's a little bit what I was talking about before, being defined by your past instead of a vision of your future. And,
yes.
And I take a lot of that from, do you know who Joe Dispenza is?
It sounds familiar.
Or no, Bruce Lipton?
No.
Two guys you'd probably really enjoy. There's a lot of their stuff. Joe Dispenza, Dispenza, and Bruce Lipton. Both of them are on YouTube with quite a bit of stuff, and a lot of it is epigenetics, that we do have control over our genome, and that we're not just we're not stuck in a certain place with just a certain set of capabilities, with our gene structure. It's not. Mm-hmm. We're not tied into that. So I'm interested. Who have you read, or who are you learning from?
I'll pull out this book. I don't remember his name. My memory is crap, so I have to make notes for everything. I've been reading a book lately. I'm not sure if I have it in my briefcase here or it's in another room. But anyway, I'll send it to you. He's a neuroscientist, and he writes about understanding your brain function and using it to its maximum ability and capability. The Neuroscience of Lasting Happiness is the name of the book, one of the books. The guy has YouTube videos and everything. And he simply talks about, we need to get out of that comfort zone of autopilot, where we need to start thinking about the capabilities of what we can do or what's possible. And people are reluctant to do that because of fear of failure. Hell, I'll just share one thing. I left GE, and I think my first year after GE, I probably blew somewhere around $300,000. And because I was thinking that we can build a television network. You remember that, Todd?
Oh, yeah, I remember that well.
It was the stupidest thing I could have done. And I thought, oh, well, that sucked, so let me try something else. I could have just totally called myself a failure, and I lost everything I had almost, and I could have gave up. And I thought, well, that didn't work. And here's how I look at it. Well, that didn't work. We'll try something else. And I've done other things, and that didn't work. I'll try something else. The people who give up because they're so afraid of losing or not looking or being embarrassed. Oh, I make fun of myself all the time. I don't care. People can embarrass me, and it doesn't bother me. I'll just keep on going. I could care less. That's nothing. I'm not here for looking popular or anything else. I just like to do things that make me feel good.
And you've learned from your successes and failures. And if you don't failures, you don't learn from them.
You've got
you surround yourself with people who are not losers. And that's one of the biggest things that I tell young kids. You are the average of all your friends. So
that can be scary.
There you go.
That can be scary. When you talk about making change and everything, a lot of people will tell you that you have to get comfortable doing things that are uncomfortable to make any real change.
Right. Right. And, you know, I do things that are uncomfortable, and I'm so used to it now that it's like, whatever. It's this, you know, I sleep well. I have no problem being comfortable anywhere. You know, I'm at a point where, yeah, sure, I'll do this, I'll say that, whatever. And nothing, because I'm not hurting anybody. So why should I stay up all night? You know,
Right.
If I screw up, hey, I've got enough cushion there to deal with it. It's fine.
Tomorrow's still coming. If you
Yeah.
screw up, tomorrow's still coming, right?
Right.
So tell us about Rocky's charity.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So my son,
and I'll see if I can find it on.
First.
I'll see if I can find it online here.
Okay.
While you're talking,
it's campheroky.org is his website. But anyway, my son was in the Navy also. He was in the Middle East during the First War, or just after the First War, and he got out because he got Crohn's disease. But he was in 4 years at the time. He signed up for 6, and they let him out like in 4.5 or something. And then he came home. He worked for me for a while, and then eventually had a couple other jobs. I laid him off. I fired him because, you know, it's funny. I knew he wasn't going to be successful working for me in some kind of administration job because it's too friggin' boring for him.
Right.
And I said, it's too boring for you. He said, yeah, it's kind of boring, but the money's good. And I said, no, you're going to suck at this because it's not what you want to do. You need to find something. So I'm going to give you the next 3 months. You got to find another job. So we started doing security for a local grocery chain. And then eventually became a cop and went to the academy and everything else.
What's the name of it again, Frank?
I'd go on a road with him, and he was probably one of the best cops ever. He was so nice, but he didn't put up with shit, you know, from people.
Right.
And especially if they were idiots. And my son was a big monster gorilla guy too, and way bigger than me. But anyway, after about 7.5 years, he pulled over some lady, tried to get her out of the car because she was a known felon that had a couple warrants on her, trying to get the keys off her. And it was on several TV shows. It was actually on Discovery Channel. So he's been on a couple different things. Well, anyway, he got run over. He got drugged down the street and then run over. And he actually got up and tried to chase her, but realized something's wrong with me, and he had to run up on the hospital. But he had like 6 different surgeries. He's got a pain pump in him now, and he has chronic pain. And I mean, he's existing, and he went through about a year of severe depression, and thank goodness he's past that with the help of other veterans and first responders. So he got a certain amount of settlement for all his injuries and everything. And he went out, instead of just using the money for himself, he went out and bought 160 acres and leased another 1,800 acres, I think. And he created a place called Camp Hero. And Camp Hero is set up for first responders, PTSD people, veterans, for a place to go away, just to get away. And they not only do that, the Camp Hero and the volunteers go out and they help veterans who are old veterans who have issues. They can't, you know, they're trying to fix their house, they have problems, don't have any money. They'll go out and take care of them. I mean, there's so many different things he's involved with. It's crazy. But he loves what he does now because he's able to help people. And right now he's setting up because this thing only functions by donations. So he's setting up a party. It's going to be on September 24th. It's called a Bourbon and Barbecue Blast, but it's a auction, and it's going to be in Lexington, Kentucky, where people can go to this auction. It's all you can drink, all you can eat, and I think it's $95 a person. And they're going to be auctioning off things like fishing trips to Alaska. I mean, like cool stuff.
Right.
Things that were donated. And if anybody has any interest in donating something or attending, you know, just go to campheroky.org. I'm proud of him. Both of my kids turned out like great people. I swear, after I had kids, I thought, and their mom died when they were 5 and 7, and then I had to raise them, and I thought, these kids are going to just turn out living on the street being drug addicts because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is like the most miserable life I can give 2 children. And they turned out great. And I thank God for that. I don't know. It isn't anything I did, because I swear I did everything to ruin their life. It seemed like it.
Right.
Time.
We feel that way as parents a lot.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was being a slut bag out there, going out with all kinds of women and everything and bringing them home. And it was like, and my kids are dealing with this. And I thought, oh, this is terrible. What kind of dad does this? And they still turned out great. And they're like, yeah, Dad, we know what you were, how you did stuff. And and they're like, we're so close, it's ridiculous. And I'm so thankful, that they turned out okay.
That's great. Yeah, Todd's got the little bit of the video up for it right now for Camp Hero.
Cool.
Yeah, I just played it while you were talking about it, Frank.
Okay, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, it's.
I'm going to show you my shirt before. You see it?
Community standards. What's it say?
Violates community standards.
Violates community standards. Okay.
This is what Facebook tells me. That violate community standards.
I like that. I think I'm on a. I think we need some civil disobedience. So coming up. So violating community standards is right up there, right along with that. Goes right along.
Exactly.
With that.
Yep. And it's really not community standards. It's their standards.
Right.
Community wants what we want.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of crazy things going on right now in that arena, but we've got September 24th. We're doing one here for the Marine Corps League down at the establishment. Yeah, we my company, Tell Staffing and HR, is the title sponsor on the Marine Corps League 5K run for the children, which is its 37th year. And so we're doing a fundraiser that same night here in downtown Pensacola. So it's good to hear about all the people. We run into a lot of people doing things for the veterans and first responders, and what he's got going at Camp Hero. It's awesome. That's something that you don't hear about really. Just a place to get away, right? Just go chill, right?
Yep.
And not have to worry about anything. Do they have activities and stuff there, or?
Yeah, different activity. Like he's even arranged for fishing trips to go to Alaska, and he got people to donate all the money and pay for everything for disabled veterans. It's really cool. He does a variety of things, like not only for veterans, but he's done community things. Like there was a town or a county in Kentucky where it's one of the poorest counties in Kentucky, and he bought backpacks with all school supplies for every kid. He helped him and other people help drive. We had a big snowstorm, and him and a bunch of other people with four-wheel drive vehicles went out and picked up all the nurses and doctors, everybody who needed to get to the hospitals, and drove them to and from work. He brought a bunch of inner city kids who have never been out in the country and took them out hunting, and got to see wild animals out in the woods, in the mountains, things they'd never experienced, in a campfire, spending the nights in tents. It's all that kind of stuff.
That's pretty amazing. That's awesome. And he's doing all that with this chronic pain thing going on.
Yeah. He has, what he says is, he says, I'll just stay on the couch for like 3 or 4 days straight. And then I'll go out. He sets up his calendar so he can do nothing but just lay around for 3 or 4 days. And then he'll go out and do things for 2 days, 3 days. And then it gets so bad, he has to just spend another 3 or 4 days laying around.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, we bitch about a lot of stuff, and we don't realize what other people are dealing with, man.
It's good to see the
and they're out
picture
there making a difference.
It's good to see the picture of him here on the website. I haven't seen him in years, so yeah.
How old is he?
42.
Right. Yeah, mine are 37, 38 and 32. So that's just about the difference in our ages, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Pretty amazing what it's like to have them. You know, you don't know until you know with the kids having them. You know,
right.
People until they have them, it's a whole different kind of love, I believe.
It is, and I tell you, we're so close. It's crazy. Well, all my family's like that. We never have fights. We're just like one big team, you know. And if someone's hurting, we help each other out. I'll help my brother out. I'll help my sister out, vice versa. And you have to be a team, like a baseball team. The reason, let me talk about referencing a baseball team. Why do I reference a baseball team? Because everybody knows what the rules are. Everybody knows how to keep score. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows their specific job. And they know what winning is. Life should be like that. It's pretty simple.
It is pretty simple. We like to make it difficult, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Well, listen, you know what? It's been a real pleasure to have you on tonight and hear about your life and the things you've done, the things you're doing, that you're still getting after it. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
When you coming down? When you coming to Pensacola again, Frank?
I don't know. I just need to just friggin' set it. I wind up filling my schedule. I don't know. I'd like to come down this fall.
Frank was going to buy a house down here for a minute. Then I think you changed your mind.
I know. I was thinking about that, and then I kept looking at different houses, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to remodel this house because I like being here.
Right.
So I wound up. Well, you know how construction is. I had a $40,000 budget, and it cost me $62,000 to remodel. And
yeah,
because everything's so expensive now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject with what's going on there, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
How do you feel about? Did you happen to check out last week's show? We had Mike Miller on from Warriors for Ranchers. He's helping ranchers down on the southern border in Texas with the illegal immigrants that are coming across and destroying property and committing crimes and trying to help ranchers out down there. How do you feel about the southern border situation?
It pissed me off that we stopped building the wall. I don't get how we can have a country that is just wide open and we have more restrictions on our own citizens than we do the people who are coming here. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. My parents had to wait 7 years to come to the United States, and they waited.
I was going to ask you how you feel about that, that they're just letting this flow happen down there, just bringing them in. And, we're going to do another show, Todd, about this, what's going on with the charities, the Catholic charities and stuff that are getting paid to ship these people all around the United States.
That's the crazy thing is our federal government is flying them wherever they want to go around the state.
But your parents waited 7 years in a refugee camp to come here.
Right, and then they had everything stolen the first day here.
Lost everything the first day. And now we got just people, and then people want to just the ones that have come here and snuck in illegally and stuff. There's millions of people that just want to give them citizenship, and
let them vote. My parents, I was 11 years old when I became a citizen. So think about it. I came here when I was about 1 year old. So 10 years later, after my parents got here, 10 years after they got here, is when they were allowed to be citizens. And I remember my parents didn't know how to read, so they had to do a verbal citizenship test. And I remember them having me teach them. I had to teach my parents about the United States and how the government ran, who our senator was, and the three branches of government, and how the Senate worked, and all that stuff. And so I had to learn that and then teach my parents, so when they had their test, they could pass it to become citizens, and which was fine, And why can't they do that? Why can't everybody just follow the rules? Like baseball, we have rules. Hey, you know what? You shouldn't have 10 strikes.
Right.
Strike 3, you're out. Just like everybody else. When things become unequal, that's when things get all jacked up. That's when things go sour. And it's not fair. It's not equal. We have a government and we have laws for a reason. But for some reason, the left doesn't feel that it's necessary to go according to what our Constitution and our laws say, simply because they want more voters.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling and they're spitting right in everybody's face with it,
flaunting it.
And but the thing is that they get to. That's one of the reasons that I believe in learning a skill, is because they're just getting indoctrinated in college into this way of thinking that's destructive. This entitlement mentality, just like you said, get out of it. I graduated, so I deserve this. And, I deserve this when they've never done anything.
Yeah. And then they get out of college and they're working at some grocery store or something because there's nobody else hiring, because there's 8 million other people in the country who have the same skills.
Right.
Who are unemployable. It's stupid. And you know what's sad is, in construction, for example, who are the people out working? They don't speak English. They're all from Guatemala and everywhere else. Why? Because they're willing to work. And the Americans aren't. And it's sad that the situation has become like that. It should be the people. What the hell? Let me just explain. When I was a kid, I worked my ass off for my dad. And I started working like when I was 8. And I remember one time I was like 15 years old. I went on a total drunk and I drank like a couple bottles of Strawberry Hill, nasty crap that nobody should be drinking or shouldn't be even legal. But anyway, I was starting to get annoying to everybody, and they dropped me off in front of my house and left me there. And my mom came out to get me, and it was like midnight. What are you doing? And I was out there yelling, sick and everything else. And she drags me into the house. I go to my bed. I'm vomiting all over the place. And I had forgot that I had to get up at 5 o'clock with my dad and to go work on some guy's apple orchard to trim his apple trees, to prune his apple trees. And so my mom comes in. I swear, I just fell asleep. My mom comes in. Okay, you got to get up. And I'm like, crap, I didn't even sleep yet. And there's vomit stuck in my hair because I had long hair at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, so I get in the shower, I pull sheets off, throw them in the shower, and I'm washing. I go downstairs, my mom's making breakfast, and that made me sick. I start vomiting. I get in the car with my dad, and he don't say anything. My dad was real cool about stuff. And we're driving. It's like an hour and a half drive. We're probably an hour into it. And he's like, and he had this deep accent. He says, I see you have a good time last night. And I said, yeah. And that's it. He don't say anything. So we get there, and he has me go up the ladder, and I'm like, I can't even, I'm still drunk. And he's just watching me, and he's giggling, having a good time watching me. And I worked. I didn't stop. And we got there at light, when the sun came up. And then we worked till it got totally dark. We couldn't see anymore. And we're driving home. I'm exhausted, trying to survive, and falling asleep. And then he reaches over and hits me. He says, good job today. I said, thanks. He said, yeah, you worked hard. And I said, aren't you going to say anything about, I'm waiting for some kind of lecture or something about drinking, And so I tell him, aren't you going to say anything about, me going out drinking or anything? He says, no, I think you figured it out.
I think you learned your lesson.
That's a great story, because we as parents we want to lay into them and everything, And
Yeah.
sometimes we just let their actions do the speaking for
Yeah.
us.
Just sit there and grin, and everybody knows what you're thinking. So let it go. He was real cool about that. I learned a lot of things from my dad, how to handle stuff.
I did as well. I don't know, and it wasn't always. You know, you know what? A lot of people, the way I got my butt whipped all the time. I say all the time, plenty, but and it was basically because he said, "Hey, don't do that. If you do that, this is what's going to happen." And I do it, and then
it happened.
And then the consequences that were promised happened, and and so I don't know.
Pretty simple.
It's different now. It's different now for sure. But well, listen, we're running up against our time limit here on PatriotTV.live. I hope people are checking us out there. Got to check us out there tonight. And I will get with you. You still interested in tomorrow morning's show on the?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So 10 o'clock your time, but I'll get with you earlier in the morning tomorrow morning to talk about that. All right. Well, listen.
Looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Pleasure. It's been fun. I love sitting here yapping with you guys. Thank you very much.
It was great to meet you and talk with you and learn a little bit about you and your business and your service of the country. We appreciate that. We've got a lot of the PatriotTV.live is owned by a veteran, so a Marine Corps veteran. So we appreciate it all, and
he sells coffee, Frank. If you want some coffee,
yeah,
I saw that. I checked it out. I got to get some.
Yeah, go place it on the Zero Dark 30 espresso. I've been drinking this week. It's awesome. The Range rum, it's all good. The breakfast blend, breakfast blend or morning blend. I don't remember, one of those two. It's good stuff. It's a great quality product. But
I got to check it out. Yes.
Thanks for joining us, Frank. Todd, thanks for doing what you do. And we'll see you next week on Play Harder Radio. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Love you, man.
Yeah, love you too, man. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
You got it.
It was fun.
Talk to you in the morning.
Bye.
And